On the night of November 13, 2022, the quiet town of Moscow, Idaho, was shattered by the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students. The suspect, Bryan Kohberger, a criminology student, left the nation grappling with the chilling details of his crimes. Today, we delve into the psychological and behavioral dynamics leading up to this tragic event. Bryan Kohberger's early years were marked by a series of troubling behaviors. Reports indicate that he struggled with heroin addiction and significant weight loss during high school. These early warning signs, including his obsession with criminology and violent ideations, were overlooked by those around him. Kohberger's family dynamics played a crucial role in shaping his psychological state. His father's attempts to support and rehabilitate him were met with mixed results. This section explores how the family's interactions might have influenced Kohberger's mental health. Kohberger's academic pursuits in criminology at Washington State University provided him with intricate knowledge of forensic science and criminal behavior. His obsession with understanding the criminal mind may have driven him to attempt the perfect murder.
So if Bryan Kohberger had a propensity for bloody up-close murder, and that has not yet been proved, he still may have needed like a trigger, something to set him off, like maybe a personal crisis, maybe a loss.
Here the reporter sets the stage for Kohberger's termination, hinting at a personal crisis that might have triggered his violent actions.
Something that might have made him lash out, maybe like losing a job, like losing his job as a teaching assistant at Washington State University. And then with that, losing your funding for the doctoral studies program you're in the school, because it appears right now that that's what happened. We now have sources with direct knowledge of the termination letter that was sent to Bryan Kohberger. And tonight I want to read the letter to you in full. The letter is dated December the 19th, 2022. It starts this way. Mr. Kohberger, I am writing this letter to formally inform you of the termination of your teaching assistantship with the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology, effective December 31st, 2022. In keeping with the WSU Graduate Student Handbook, chapters 9G2, remember that, and 12E3, remember that, below is the list of events that led to you being deficient on the following contingency clause of your funding. Quote, maintaining satisfactory progress in fulfilling assistantship service requirements and duties. On September 23rd, 2022, you had an altercation with the faculty you support as a TA, Professor Snyder. I met with you on October 3rd to discuss norms of professional behavior. On October 21st, Professor Snyder emailed you about the ways in which you had failed to meet your expectations as a TA thus far in the semester. As a result, on November 2, Graduate Director Willits and I met with you to discuss an improvement plan, which you agreed to, and I shared with you in an email dated November 3rd. We met again December 7th, this time with a professor, Professor Snyder, as well as Dr. Willits and I, to discuss your progress on the improvement plan. While not perfect, we agreed there was progress. On December 9th, there was another altercation with Professor Snyder, in which it became apparent that you had not made progress regarding professionalism, and about which I wrote to you on December 11th, requesting a meeting. We met on December 19th, when I informed you of your termination as a TA for spring semester. So there's that. And we dug into the WSU undergraduate student.
Notice how the termination letter highlights a series of unprofessional behaviors, leading to Kohberger's ultimate dismissal from the program. On the night of November 13th, Kohberger allegedly entered the off-campus residence with the intention of committing a perfect crime. The timeline of events is crucial to understanding the psychological state he was in. The surviving roommates' delayed response in calling the police has sparked much debate, possibly explained by their state of shock and fear. The investigation faced numerous challenges, including a crucial period where Kohberger was pulled over twice by local law enforcement. The FBI's surveillance efforts were a critical part of building the case against him, eventually leading to his arrest in Pennsylvania.
We're following for you this afternoon the Pennsylvania man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students, no longer at the Monroe County Correctional Facility. He's now in the custody of state police, according to officials. He's now expected to return to Idaho, where he's facing charges. Bryan Kohberger appeared in a Monroe County courtroom yesterday, agreeing to be extradited. The 28-year-old was arrested at his parents' home in the Poconos on Friday in connection with the killings that happened back in November.
Experts have since analyzed Kohberger's actions and psychological state. His meticulous planning and the predatory nature of the crime indicate a deep-seated psychopathy. As the trial approaches, the psychological profiles and behavioral analyses provide a window into the mind of a calculated killer. After the murders, it's believed that Bryan Kohberger may have returned to an old habit of posting about himself online, providing a possible window into his psychological state.
After the murders, Kohberger may have returned to an old habit, posting about himself online. You see, there was massive interest in this case online, and several reporters believe Kohberger himself was among the crew on social media openly discussing the case. One Facebook user named Papa Roger was a regular poster in a discussion group about the murders.
Notably, some posts from a user named Papa Roger appeared to possess detailed knowledge about the crime, suggesting a deeper, perhaps personal connection to the case.
One of his posts seemed to indicate he knew something about the circumstances of the murder, or at least took a very lucky guess. Quote, "Of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a large fixed blade knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath," he wrote. This was before there were public reports that police had indeed found the knife sheath inside that house.
A statement analyst has said that the fact that Bryan wrote the sheath and not a sheath proves ownership and knowledge of the existence of such a sheath as an insider to the crime scene. Any innocent commenter would say a sheath and not the sheath.
Meanwhile, on Reddit, in the Moscow Murders group, Moscow being the town where the killings took place, one user named Inside Looking seemed to have inside details about the method behind the murders. Quote, "Speculation," it began. Quote, "Killer parked behind the house, approached property through tree line, entered sliding door and left it open, committed murders and exited sliding door. One knife," according to the coroner's statement. Time of murder, approximately 3:20 a.m. to 3:40 a.m., according to car fleeing scene and on camera on Highway 8, approximately 3:45 a.m. Vehicle left skid marks upon exit, end quote. Since Kohberger was arrested and held without bail, Papa Roger and Inside Looking have not posted on Facebook or Reddit.
Bryan Kohberger's online posts offer a glimpse into his troubled mind and personality. Here's what they reveal. Insider knowledge. His specific use of terms like the sheath instead of a sheath suggests he had detailed knowledge about the crime scene, indicating an unhealthy obsession with the crime. Psychological struggles. Kohberger frequently mentions suffering from visual snow syndrome, depression, anxiety, and hopelessness, painting a picture of someone in significant psychological distress. Negative self-image. He described himself in very negative terms, calling himself a sickly, tired, useless, and stupid man, and expressing deep self-loathing. Detachment and dehumanization. Kohberger's view of others as worthless sacks of meat suggests he dehumanized people, which can be a warning sign of antisocial behavior. Violent tendencies. His admissions of violence toward objects could indicate a potential for violence toward people, especially combined with his crazy thoughts and grandiose delusions. Cognitive disorganization. Frequent spelling and grammatical errors might reflect cognitive issues, though his posts also show a high level of intelligence and obsession with specific topics. Lack of empathy and remorse. Kohberger claimed he could act with little to no remorse, indicating a lack of empathy, a common trait in individuals with antisocial personality disorder. Desire for connection. Despite his negative views, he repeatedly sought to relate to others, suggesting a deep sense of loneliness and social isolation. Grandiosity and ego. While he had a poor self-image, Kohberger also believed he was smarter than others and too clever to be fooled, showing signs of narcissistic tendencies. The tragic events in Idaho serve as a grim reminder of the importance of recognizing early warning signs and understanding the psychological underpinnings of such crimes. As we await justice for the victims, we remember their lives and the impact of this horrific event on their families and the community.